I'm Konstantin and I'm an architect. I feel myself more like a practitioner and activist. My speech will be not very theoretical, but about things that I just notice during my practice. I'm also not really a native speaker, so sorry for some I don't know, boned tongue or something like that. But I'm really excited to share with you some thoughts, and now I'm start my presentation. I will demonstrate the screen. Yeah. Sergey asked me to speak about spaces of interaction, and now in Ukraine we are doing also urban school, interdisciplinary school that called construction of interaction. So probably it's the words that can be a key to some experience I had, and which I get by doing some urban projects and working with public space. I want to characterize these words, talking about urban typology that I noticed. You know, nowadays the ways people spending their time, their leisure, is transforming faster than institutions that usually are providing this opportunities for people. And people began to create something in public space because it's maybe the easiest way to gather and to create something. So through these spaces, I believe we can recognize some processes and understand more about the way people want to interact with each other. Yeah, and I believe that there is a kind of urban typology which we can call spaces of interaction. And I want to talk first about a few projects that was awarded by European awards in sphere of public spaces. And one of them, it's European Prize for Public Space. It's Biennale, which was founded in Barcelona, and it kind of one of recognized competitions about some the most important public spaces in Europe. And in Ukraine, there is two pins, two awards of this prize, and I want to talk about both of them. One is Heavenly 100 Garden. It mentioned in 2016. And another one is a stage in Dnipro, mentioned in 2018. So why exactly these public spaces were selected? What actually new they bring, or why they are special? I thought. If we talk about this case, of course, it's connected with the act of commemoration, and it linked to the revolution, to the Maidan. But I think really the most important thing in this project was that people took responsibility and they get to the straight action. Like briefly, the story is there was a yard near Maidan which was fenced, and there was a lot of garbage there behind this fence because someone owned this land and do nothing with it. And during Maidans, someone like ruined this fence, and people see that there is like this garbage, everything, and they decided that they will turn it into a garden, public space for people, and also it will be some act of communal solidarity between them about also experience they had in during the Maidan. And they say also that no tears or candles, but only action, and it's one of slogans they have. Yeah, so it's really maybe the one of first cases where people really start to do something together, like it's bottom-up initiative. And another one is this stage in Dnipro, and it's also interesting thing. It's also awarded by another prize, like Miss Van der Rohe prize. And what is the story behind it? In a TED talk which Kuba Snopik gave, it called Collective Design for Better Architecture. He mentioned that this space is created only by crowdfunding and crowdsourcing, by combining local talents, local community, and worldwide community, and there is like no author as a person, but it's collective authorship. And it's also a really important process, I guess, because when you creating a space for interaction, it should go through the interaction. I mean that all this participation, all this links with people, they are formed in the moment of thinking about technical, I don't know, issues or functions or something, and through the building it go through all the stages. And this few projects that mention yeah, this also a screenshot of a crowdfunding. Like in Indiegogo, we still can look how much people generate like finances for the building, and also who was in building team. And it's really interesting process, and it's like putting into DNA of this space. But it's not really only two spaces in Ukraine, but really a lot of pop-up spaces eventually were built after the, I don't know, after 14 years. And this one, for example, it's a space for community which are trying to bring River Libid in Kyiv from the channel into the public space, and it's a huge project, but they really create a space where they can meet. It's like a spot they marked somehow, and really something else happens here, and here they create, they organize events in support of this topic of bringing Libid to the city again. And I thought about these projects and looking for some common points, common things that they all have. And I think they always created with the community and supported by the community. Because the spaces in the city, they need to have people to care about them. And usually it's the community which are initiators of this thing. And every time we thought about this kind of spaces, we can imagine community which is stands behind them. And I think they are usually created with available materials and technologies. I'm talking about Ukrainian cases, and it's usually low-tech buildings, because it's really easier to do it together. It's relatively inexpensive and easier to implement. Usually it's unique. Every time it's something different. Every time it's really response to some special tasks, and it's linked to the place. It provides this really possibility of interaction, because if we take some squares or parks, mainly they represent leisure and some passive way of spending time. But nowadays in Ukraine, I think cultural institutions or other, they not provide enough opportunity to how to say, to represent, for people to represent themselves, to show themselves. And that's why people looking for places there where they can express themselves. Yeah, it's always it's have some experimental parts, and it's not regular. It's some mutations, urban mutations, I can say. And they are temporary, they because of materials, but also because people are not static. They're looking for something else. They changing their minds. They needs. It's always something temporary and changing. Yeah, and it's have certain identity. Well, it's easier to talk about own projects because it's hard to bring some misunderstanding, and it's when you're talking about projects of others. But at the end, I will try if we will have time to do it. So a few projects where I was involved, which we were doing together with the team. As an example of some points that I think are more common and more spread than only these projects. So once I was participated in Meta City East project, and it was a cultural project which were going in 6 eastern cities of eastern Ukraine. And this one especially was in Konstantinivka. And I will want to go deeper into the processes and maybe just explain and let you feel how it worked in that project for us. What was the mechanic of creating a place for interaction in Konstantinivka? And it actually took almost 2 years from our first came to that city to the project, mostly because we were not local and we were coming and discuss it with local team. So everything begins when we meet really active youth in Konstantinivka, and on their place they kind of free space for youth, and they show us a lot of things in their city, but we were amused about the large post-industrial territory which was abandoned, and it was situated right in the middle of the city. And also we heard from this young activists that they are actually looking for some project which can be really influencing for the city and give a direction for their activity for some time, for some years maybe. And then we go to this topic deeply, and with our colleagues, urban curators, we did the research and understand that really this abandoned territory in the city center is possibility of connection of two separated micro districts or part of the city, I can say. So we understand that we can actually create some space of interaction there to communicate all this complicated situation and bring some discussion to the public. And then when we agreed on what we are doing, we start to build. And no professional builder was involved. Everything was made by active people who wanted to bring change, and it really a process of really powerful energetic exchange. For 6 probably days we were building together the structure. We also collaborate with artists, and some people came to help even from other cities, because it was really important to interact, to be part of something bigger, and this creation of such spaces, it gives in a way this feeling. Well, and this space were called like green lectorium or something, because one of the function was kind of listen to rise up and ecological topics, and we started to work with it a bit. But also this place were liked by the local fishermen, and it stands actually not for a long time. It was disassembled maybe in a half year, but it was rebuilt a year later, and it stands also for a year maybe, and now it's again disassembled because of the places very complicated, but the experience it gives, it's really powerful, and a lot of things were going on in this hangar, for example. So I will switch to another project we did really a few months ago at August. And it's another thing, but I think it's also public space, and it's also a space for interaction. I will not go so deep into the processes, but I want to focus at one point, which interaction it brings. Actually, it brings connection between the people of different classes or different social groups with different level of income. Because usually when you see on the street poor people who looking for charity, or you feel stressed because you feel that you cannot really do much about it, but it exists, and it's really stress situation. But this kind of space shifting this situation, because it creates opportunity to interact in a positive way, where the people who need some additional income can receive materials, can receive this help in a way. But it's not only help for them, but also for people who don't have time to, I don't know, to separate garbage, to bring it to special centers which are not so spread in Ukraine. And it's something really different about roles in this model. And yeah, it's interesting experiment. It's still ongoing. But yeah, I wanted to focus on this part. Of course, it's also about let me remember how it words, how this word should be, but it's about your inner feeling. If you're dealing with this garbage, like if it's designed with respect, that then you feel it, and also it's changed a lot, I believe. Another project I want to show in it's I want to tell about it was also made in this MetaCity East during this MetaCity East project, and it's a multifunctional space in Pokrovsk, one of the small cities, and I want to tell about really localness and this opportunity to reuse materials and to create something very different because of the specific place. So this project was basically made from one thing we asked from municipality, from the university there. It's this metal arches which are used in mines. We saw it in the yard of the university, and we realized that this thing can be used in creation of some construction, some public space. And when we asked, the municipality said that mine is agreed to give S7 arches for us because they are not in use anymore, and they just I don't know, laying there and stored for years. And for nothing, almost for nothing in meaning of cost, we get really strong and permanent constructions for the public space, and it's quite unique. This thing also happened to such public spaces often when you find something on the site or near the site, or it can be materials, it can be people with some special knowledge. If I return to this stage project in Dnipro, there was a guy who know a lot about acoustic, and he proposed to do this acoustic accelerator inside of the stage, so it turns into some kind of acoustic instrument, for example. And these things are happened when people are involved and when they understand that they can bring their speciality into this creation. Yeah, so that's photos from the project. I want to make accent in one more thing about what usually people expect from this kind of constructions of interaction. Usually the first scene is kind of open air cinema or place for lectures, some amphitheater, or place for exhibitions. And when I thought about it, I think that it's our time is bringing these topics, and there is a lot of people who agree that these functions are absent in our public spaces, and they need to be brought into it. I've heard quite a lot about this exact functions from people. Sometimes they are really needed there. Sometimes people want them, but they don't take into account that someone have to manage and someone have to provide this activity. And it's always about also responsibility and these things. But really, it's also a kind of a similarity I have noticed. Some photos. Another project, I want to talk about it because not always the spaces should exist kind of for a long time. It can be really a festival for 3 days even, but this format, this kind of spaces, they allows you to create something which was absent before, like for 4 days, like with people who want it. And it was a theater open air festival, and working on it, we understand that something we can bring temporary and something we can bring and it will stay. And 2 types of objects we bring to this space. It's scaffoldings, which we assemble together with this theater local team. And another thing, it's concrete plates, which were already on the site. We did a bit and put some wooden cover. And this festival gives an opportunity to work on it. But later, when festival moves away, something was stay there to remain and to to improve somehow qualities and to bring maybe another interaction. This festival are organized around the ruin of one old, not a castle, but old building from end of 19th century, if I do not mistake. And it looked like this. I know that you are, as a team, are working on some also spaces in Chernihiv. It's a courtyard, which I will see tomorrow because I'm already in Chernihiv. Yeah, and I want to share also some principles of our studio, which we use in when do projects with the public spaces. And of course, first rule, it's research first of all. We always do a research. Sometimes we ask our partners or some more experienced organizations to do it with us, but you cannot propose anything until you really fulfill like your understanding of what's going on. And reuse, it's also important thing. We are always looking for some materials, some construction, some garbage, people can say, but it can be really helpful. And all the time something exists, some kind of things that can be reconfigured and reused. And even if you don't find it as a material thing, you can reuse a legend or reuse a narrative or reuse some senses which was there before you came. And really it's important to think about this point. Yeah, we believe that technical tasks does not exist anymore, and no one knows what should be done. But in a dialogue, especially when all people involved are really interested in the outcome, they really can form the special and interesting common ground for some project. It's also about multifunctionality. It's about spaces that not really about something direct, but about open scenarios, some improvisation, and about changes through time. It's about, of course, attention to the people, social dimension. I will back to this thing one more time. Yeah, it's about budget, it's about efficiency, about rationality. If we talk about resources that we have limited, and also that sometimes we don't need much. We work always with some metaphorical aspects, mythological, and basically it's about identity of the space. So what is different, what is special in some case, some direct case. It's about, some people call it, we also do it like tactical urbanism, but really it's strategical first of all. And when I describe project with a trash pavilion. It was just one piece from larger image that we realized that a reconfiguration of this points where trash bins are located, it will give to the district another also another feeling of the space, and it reduces stress for a lot of people, because also these processes of trash collecting. Yeah, so of course it's about some general image that bigger than only this space or construction. Yeah, it's also about quality, and I believe that everyone can do good job if he had enough time and someone who can teach, and it's really about just keep trying and improving skills. Supporting the experimental. Of course, I will not stand on each point, not talk a lot about it, but yeah, it's about contextual, and it's about not only consumption but action. I mentioned it before. And also, yeah, it's about generating knowledge, generating role models, how people act at the space, how they used to act. Maybe it's something that you not used at the beginning, but then you know that other people doing it and you join. It's a process of educating each other with just being present in the space. Well, yeah. And if it inspires, it's even better. Yeah, I wanted to stop on one more thing about inclusiveness in different dimensions. Because okay, I think you all know about like physical inclusiveness and about maybe some discrimination about age or gender, but also when such spaces emerges, it's about inclusiveness of the team or of the initiators, how are they ready and how they can allow this inclusiveness for space to be vivid, to be really public. And it's a question that people who start something, they sometimes mislead or don't take too serious, but really I think it's also an architectural task to bring this to the discussion about really inclusiveness of the processes in the spaces of interaction, because there are different roles. They are not so direct. They are not so direct, and there is no special laws how it should work, but it's also the way people interact with each other. Yeah, and there's really much more projects. I will not go into every of them, but I wanted to not speak only about projects we did in studio, but also some teasers of projects of the colleagues. And for example, Nastya Ponomaryova from Urban Curators show us a few weeks ago a project they did in Mariupol, and it was also participation and creating multi-functional space in the one district of Mariupol with musical facilities for exhibition, for leisure, for gathering of community. And on their website you can read more about, and maybe different project in a way, but it's a UFO stage in Kiev, almost in the city center, but in a kind of jungles where community are making their ecosystem, and they very special like non-conceptual way of living together, way of commons they bring. And when I thought about this project, I think about that not all spaces should be for everyone. So I believe that not everyone will find himself or herself in a place like this, but it's really represent community needs and community beliefs. And yeah, I think it's very, very important for architects also belong to some community and understand it from the inside, and maybe all subcultures and communities should have people who will work with them with the space, and the spaces will be different, but it will create this diversity probably. Yeah, I will go through the final thoughts, like some thoughts that I maybe didn't mention, and almost finished this long speech. Hope you're still alive there. Yeah, and I think for Ukraine, I don't know how German colleagues can evaluate it, but I think it's really a situation where we can do innovative things with low budget, with low tech, but it can be really intellectual reach, and maybe this thing makes our way special. I think that I've mentioned it, that yeah, architects or I don't know, space designers, they cannot be probably outside the community, and the better thing is when architect, skateboarder project in a skate park, but yeah, and so on and so forth. It's also about like process-driven approaches where you're not planned what should be at the end, but you just follow people's thoughts, and you are you have this ability to change a mind a lot of times. Yeah, and then the result also get better because you don't expect it. Maybe. Yeah, and also returning to the topic of really interaction, I think it should be, yeah, should go through all the stages, and like inclusive design process with involving it can be really a gate through which people can go into this like community, to enter it, and to act in it in more horizontal way. And that's all.